Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Of all the works I set out to speak about today, that leaves only one left out, an oddity and an exception. A work so remarkable and unequalled that it founded a genre and was exceedingly popular in its own day. It is the classic Mary Shelley's Frankenstein of 1818. Who do we know who at 19 might write a novel that would be a world classic forever after? It is indeed remarkable that Mary Shelley was 19 when she wrote this, for it is a completely mature and profound work. Mary Shelley was the daughter of Mary Wollstonecraft, the leading premier authority of the feminist movement, a woman of letters and a campaigner. She died when Mary was very young, and the young Mary grew up at the knees of the scientific gentlemen and politician callers of her age, and then married one of the greatest and most sensual and politically radical of the Romantic poets, Percy Bysshe Shelley, and moved away to neutral Switzerland to escape scandal and comment. She wrote Frankenstein while they were in a house in the Swiss Alps with Lord Byron, with Shelley writing the sonnet Ozymandias about the impermanence of power, empire, tyranny and art. To this day, Frankenstein remains the best discussion of ethics in science ever written. When we think about the morality of new scientific inventions and the scientist as one who is playing God, as in the movie Oppenheimer, for example, then we are in the thematic realms embarked upon by Mary Shelley. The scientist shocked and horrified at his own creation and the impact on those he loves. In the horror of this new power to bring and take life, Oppenheimer owes everything to Miss Mary Shelley. When we think about the morality of plagues, inventions, the revivifications of life, we summon the qualms and inquietudes of Dr. Frankenstein, who so resembled the men Mary heard as a child, deciding the world, and whose presumption to play God she tore apart. Time and again the tables are turned, for though Victor is the creator and the creature the murderer, it is the plight and pleas of the creature that win our sympathy. Forget the looming monster with a bolt through his neck of Boris Karloff, the actor playing alongside Colin Clive as Frankenstein. Mary's creature is intelligent, more intelligent than Frankenstein, and more powerful, and mentally, morally, and symbolically more complex. He rails against his creator that rejected him, that gave him intelligence but cast him out, as both John Milton's Adam was cast out of Eden and the fallen angel cast down from heaven, cursing against his God. Not since Milton wrote the ending of Paradise Lost in 1658 was there such a moving, continuous tale of the woes of a creature cast down as in this novel. Made from the parts and corpses of the dead, his ugliness sees him violently rejected wherever he goes. In a truly macabre section of the book, having extorted a promise from the doctor to make him a companion, and Frankenstein having begun the work, and with the monster grinning at the windows in the storm, Frankenstein is suddenly horrified at what he might do, and people the earth with Calibans, and before the creature's eyes begins to tear away the flesh from the female inert form lying lifeless on the table in front of him, tearing away her flesh piece by piece to the wails and howls of pain of the creature. Thus at once the rights and wrongs of procreation, the desire and the thwarting of desire of the mate, the doctor's power of life and death, the proximity of creation and destruction, moral licence and moral repentance, the creature, the mass, anonymous, industrial mob of the people, exalting their revenge upon the Enlightenment gentlemen who in their breaches, in their parlours, brought this mass democracy into being. We hear the roar against injustice from both the Shelleys in the face of the wind. She wrote other novels and part and printed works, but not with anything like the same intensity of impact. The Last Man of 1826 is perhaps the one most worth considering, and has an interesting and perhaps recognisable premise. Set in the 21st century with a bubonic plague has ravaged the world, but despite this premise, the characterisation, scenes and dialogue, for those who try to read this work, sadly do not come to life, but lie still on the table. A good example of her later writing is her introduction to her husband's collected works in 1839. A long while later, after the tragic death of Percy by drowning, she collected all his works together and wrote a moving introduction and dedication to the collected poems of her late husband, a poignant and selfless dedication that she had put all her trust and her faith in the right man. No more noble, no more gentle, no more poetic soul did ever live, she said. Just to mention, as an afterword, that the novel of Dracula of 1895 by Bram Stoker, the theatre impresario, at the other end of the century, is by comparison a mere entertaining, if lovable romp, imaginative and memorable and fun for all its ridiculousness, but it is not the profound and philosophical dissection of the idea of man that is Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.